I'm Bill Jasper with the New American Magazine, and I have Alex Newman, our foreign correspondent, online via Skype in Paris at the United Nations Conference on Climate Change. Alex, today is a big day. This is the last day, December 11th, supposedly the last day of the conference. And the big question is the text of the treaty or the agreement. What do we know about the status of it at this point?
Well, the most recent draft that I have was released on Thursday, and there's still a lot of stuff between brackets, so that's still stuff that's open up for negotiations. But it seems that the biggest disagreement now, I mean, these people really think they're the masters of the universe, or at least they want us to think that. They're haggling over whether we're going to keep alleged global warming below 2 degrees centigrade or below 1.5 degrees centigrade. So, of course, they have no idea. If we shut down every industrial activity and every source of CO2 that humans produce, they have no idea what would happen to the temperature, as multiple scientists have told us here. But that's the supposed disagreement, right? So you have the ragamuffin rent-a-mobs outside, the tax-funded NGOs demanding more ambition, keep us below 1.5. And you have a lot of the journalists up here, they call themselves journalists, saying, oh, China's not agreeing to 1.5, or Saudi Arabia is not agreeing to 1.5. So it's really a pathetic spectacle, actually, but there's a lot of true believers here. And the essence of this text, I think the United Nations and the establishment behind it have figured out that they're not going to be able to secure kind of a top-down global warming regime. So what they've done for this, and this comes through very clearly in the text, each national government or each dictatorship or, all the different parties to the Conference of the Parties, this is the 21st Conference of the Parties, they're supposed to submit nationally intended contributions, or nationally determined intended contributions, where each government decides, all right, we're going to slash CO2 emissions by this much, we're going to funnel this much into our cronies' pockets if they're producing so-called green energy. We are going to transfer, X amount of dollars to third world dictators as climate reparation. So each government has come to the table with some kind of, pledge, what they're going to do as part of this agreement. And what this treaty/non-treaty does is it codifies all this and says each government has a responsibility to follow through on their pledges, and if they don't, they have to report the results back to the UNFCCC, the organization that's running all of this. And then every 5 years, as of right now, according to the text, they're supposed to come back and decide on even more ambition to save us even more from evil CO2 and global warming.
On the text draft a couple of days before, on the 9th, it said in the title of the draft text, a legally binding agreement. Does it still say that? Do you know?
I don't know if that was in the last draft. And, they have a big problem with this because in the United States, we have the Constitution, and the Senate has to ratify any legally binding treaty. And, of course, even then, they can't grant themselves new powers that aren't constitutional. But Obama is essentially planning to implement his commitments unilaterally. So he's using EPA regulations and all this. And the Senate and the House of Representatives have already said, this is not going to pass. We're not going to fund it. We're not going to ratify it. So everybody can go home. This is a waste of time. But Obama and the rest of the circus here are twisting themselves into pretzels, trying to decide whether it's binding, whether it's not binding, whether it's voluntary, whether it's a treaty, whether it's not a treaty. Now they're saying that treaty means something different in the United States than it means in international law. So it's really a circus. Nobody really knows what's going on here, except, the people behind the scenes, of course. But all the activists and stuff are, they have them out there chanting that we need to have a more binding and a more ambitious agreement. So we'll see what comes out of it, but most of the people here are not hopeful that the UN is going to get everything it wants, and really the journalist section here, it might as well be the cheerleading section. But we'll have to see what comes out once they release the final draft.
And we don't know exactly when that will be. You and I have covered these kind of events before, and usually what happens on the last day, it turns into a pressure cooker, and they keep it going till late hours, early hours of the morning, and try to stuff in as much as they can when everybody is worn down. Does it look like that's going to be the same modus operandi here?
That's exactly what's going on, Bill. You have the climate justice warriors outside shouting, we want climate justice, and all the delegates, oh yeah, okay, we understand the people of the world want climate justice. So it looks like it's going to come down to the wire as usual, probably well orchestrated. Tomorrow they actually have a big protest in defiance of the ban here in France, they banned all the protests. They're in a state of emergency because of the terror attacks. But there's going to be a big protest tomorrow, and I don't see the point of a protest. If the agreement is already done and everything's finished. So we'll see. But I suspect that this will be just like the other ones, Bill. This will go into the next day, and we'll have to see what comes out of it tomorrow then.
All right, very good. Thank you very much, Alex, and we'll be back with you when you're available again.